Welcome to Red Kingdom Sports. Here we are to discuss NFL Week 13 predictions. I know this video is a little bit late this week. I had some things I had to do, but we are here, so let's just jump right into it. So last week I went 9-6, not really the best, not really the worst. Just a couple games got away and didn't pick the right teams, obviously. And the buys I had, we have the Titans, Browns, Packers, and Panthers. So let's get into these predictions. First, we have the Cowboys, Saints. I'm going with the Cowboys. Both of these teams lost on Thanksgiving. Cowboys have lost 3 of 4. Their only good game coming against the Atlanta Falcons, where they dominated them. But other than that, they haven't looked particularly well. Last week against the Raiders, whatever you want to say. I mean, they didn't get the W. The refs probably, you could say, play a part of that, but they did not come out with the victory on Thanksgiving. However, they should get DeMarcus Lawrence back this week. However, Amari Cooper is questionable in this game. The Saints are starting Taysom Hill at quarterback, and as of right now, Alvin Kamara won't be playing in this game, which is going to be a huge hit for them because he's probably their best offensive player. But I just feel the Cowboys are in a must-win situation. They had a week of rest, and they're going to come out firing, and I think they win this game. Next, we have the Chargers and Bengals. Chargers have been really inconsistent this year. They've played great at times, like against the Steelers, and then they get completely outplayed by the Broncos. Herbert throwing a couple interceptions, one being a pick six. I just think the Bengals have been playing really, really well this season. I think they're definitely going to be in the playoffs at this point, contending with their division. And if they don't, I think they're going to be the 5 seed, probably the top wild card seed this year, just because they're playing well. They dominated the Steelers last week, and I think the Bengals pull out the victory. Next, we have the Giants and the Dolphins. The Giants won a pretty ugly game against the Eagles. Daniel Jones is hurt, but I think they said he should be playing. Dolphins have been playing great football recently. They've won 4 straight, dominating Panthers. They got Kim benched. I think Tua has been playing some fantastic football recently. Jalen Waddle is a great receiving threat, along with, their Gesicki, their tight end, Myles Gaskin, their running back. So I think the Dolphins, have finally hit their stride. Defense is playing well, and I think they come out with a victory against the Giants. Next, we have the Colts and the Texans. I feel like the Colts are a very frustrating team. They should be much better record-wise than what they are. I feel like they should have won more games. I think they played solid against the Buccaneers, but we can't have a clean game from Carson Wentz. It's very frustrating to see because they could have easily won that game if they could, even if they converted that red zone possession early on in the second half, take a 17-point lead, but they just couldn't convert. They didn't do that. Started with all their turnover crap. I just feel they're due for a dominating win. They're playing a very inferior opponent, and I think the Colts are a good football team. It's just they keep shooting themselves in the foot this year, and the Texans stink, so I'm going with the Colts. Next, we have the Vikings and Lions. I'm going with the Vikings, not necessarily confident with that game, with that pick. This is a game where Kirk Cousins is in a 1 o'clock slot and probably will dominate an inferior opponent, and hopefully he lines up under the correct offensive lineman this week. But the Lions had a chance last week to win against the Bears. They just had terrible coaching and bad situational football. I think the Vikings win, but at this point, I would not be surprised if the Lions pulled off a victory. They've been playing very, very close with literally everybody this year. I think they got blown out by the Eagles, and I think they got blown out by another team. But other than that, they've been playing relatively well, relatively close. They've got to get a win. They're playing too competitively to lose, but at the end of the games, their situational football has been poor all season long. And so I would not be surprised if they pull out the victory, but I am going with the Vikings because I just think they have more talent. Now, Dalvin Cook being out for the Vikings, I think, is going to help, set them back just a little bit, but I still think they have enough offensive talent, like Alexander Madison, great backup running back. So I think the Vikings have enough to win this game. Next, we have the Eagles-Jets. The Eagles had a complete stinker against the Giants. Hurts threw like 4 interceptions in that game. Did not look good at all. The Jets beat the Texans, but really, who cares? They're still terrible, and Zach Wilson had a god-awful interception and throwing it off his running back's back. But I'm going with the Eagles in this game because I just think, they've had moments this year where they've played very well. Jalen Hurts has played very well, and I think they get back on track and beat a very bad Jets team. Our next game is the Cardinals and the Bears. I'm going with the Cardinals. I'm hoping D-Hop and Murray play coming off the bye week and their injuries. I was trying to read the injury reports and some news stories, but it didn't really seem like we knew quite yet what is going on with them. But even if they don't play, I think they'll be fine. They have, great backup quarterback. They have a great backup quarterback, and they just have enough weapons to beat anybody. I think they're off, like Zach Ertz signing with them. I think was a great signing for them, a great trade during free agency. So I think offensively they're fine. Defense is obviously great. They're coming off a bye. Even if Murray and D-Hop doesn't play, everybody else got a chance to get healthy. So I think they'll be all right. Bears, I have absolutely no faith in them. They barely beat a terrible Lions team. I know I just mentioned that they're a tough team, but you can't deny the fact that the Lions are bad, coaching, situational, like I said. Matt Nagy, I guess, saved his job, but take it as whatever you want. Whether Fields or Dalton plays, I don't see them winning. I just think the Cardinals coming off a bye, hopefully everybody getting healthy, I think the Cardinals pull out that win. Next, we have the Buccaneers and the Falcons. I'm going with the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers won off the back of Leonard Fournette scoring 4 touchdowns in that game. I don't think they particularly played their best game offensively or defensively. Their secondary, obviously not the best. Still needs a little bit of work. I mean, injuries doesn't help with that at all. But I don't think that defensively, they stop the run very well. But I just think their pass defense definitely struggles quite a bit. But I don't think they played up to their potential really at all this year. I just feel like they could definitely. I don't know if they're going through the motions or what it is, but I feel like they could definitely be playing a little bit better than what they have been. But Gronk seems to be all the way back. He's having, he played great last week against the Colts. He had an absolutely massive game. The Falcons beat a poverty franchise in the Jaguars. Like, who really cares? I don't know if this is a joke or not. If it is a joke, I just got baited. But apparently Cordell Patterson is on the depth chart, listed as a backup safety. So what else? What is there something that this guy can't do? I feel like he can do everything. But on a serious note, he's their best offensive player by far, and he's outshined Kyle Pitts, I think. But the Falcons definitely do not have enough to beat the Buccaneers. Next, we have the Washington football team and the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm picking Washington. Now, I don't know how confident I am in this pick because the Raiders are coming off a really, really good win against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, albeit a very disgusting game. But Washington, they won a pretty boring game, in my opinion, against the Seahawks. Gibson had a great game. I think Taylor Heineke is a very servable quarterback. I mean, starting job-wise, I don't know. I think there could be an argument either way, but from what I've seen this year, there's definitely moments where he's played very, very well. The defense has looked really good. The Raiders beat the Cowboys, like I mentioned, but there's something about the Raiders. I do not trust them. They're in that they've had some really bad losses before that Cowboys game. Although Derek Carr, that offense looked really good last week. But them finishing seasons, there's just something that doesn't sit well with me, and I have Washington winning this game, and probably what many think to be an upset. In our next game, we have the Jaguars and the Rams. I'm going with the Rams, but they better win this game. They've lost 3 straight games. They've looked terrible in all of those games. They lost to the Titans, 49ers, and last week against the Packers. They looked terrible against the Packers. Matthew Stafford's throwing a pick 6 in 3 straight games. He's honestly looked like his Detroit self. He has not looked good, has not played well. That entire Rams team has not been playing well. Their defense, with all that talent, I think has gotten shredded at least the last 2 weeks. You could argue 3 weeks in a row, but they have not been playing well. They're starting to look like a bit of an overhyped team based off of what we heard in the preseason, all the preseason talk with them. So they definitely need to get on track, and they're playing a poverty, terrible franchise in the Jaguars. So if this is a game where they can get right, this is the game. So I have the Rams winning this, and it's not even that I have them winning this. I feel like it's a must-win for them. Next, we have the Ravens and the Steelers. Now, Lamar Jackson did have a terrible game, throwing 4 interceptions and a win against the Browns, but their defense showed up, shut down the Browns' great running game. Lamar Jackson made the throws necessary at the end of that, to Mark Andrews, made the plays he needed to get his team in a position to where they can win. Obviously, Justin Tucker, the greatest kicker probably of all time, played great. But they're playing the Steelers, who are just sad at this point. Big Ben just needs to retire. That was just a sad performance against the Bengals. I think this is probably the first season that Mike Tomlin finishes under 500. Steelers look terrible this year. They looked god-awful last week against the Bengals, and I have the Ravens winning this. The next game we have is the Seahawks and the 49ers. The Seahawks are terrible. They just signed Adrian Peterson for some reason that does not make sense to me at all. They look, like I said, they've looked bad. They look bad against Washington. Russell Wilson may have came back too soon, and at this point, I don't think he's going to be with the Seahawks next year. And I think the 49ers are red hot right now. They Great win against the Vikings. Their running game looks fan-freaking-tastic. Their defense is playing well. George Kittle may not be catching the ball, but he's definitely making his presence felt in whatever they need him to do. Brandon Ayuk has definitely stepped up. Now with Debo being out, they might struggle, but I still have the 49ers winning this game. On Sunday Night Football, we have the Broncos and the Chiefs. Now, I will say the Broncos look really, really good against the Chargers. Defense shut down Justin Herbert. Patrick Surtain had 2 great interceptions, one of them going for a pick 6. The Chiefs, their last game before their bye week last week, they played the Cowboys. Defense absolutely showed out against the Cowboys. I think the defense has definitely showed up and played much better than it did since the beginning of the season. You have all those guys, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Nick Bolton, Willie Gay. The entire secondary has been playing fantastic football. They've definitely played much, much better. And the offense, they still seem to be a tad off. Once they got that 16-0 or so lead, or got that 16, they scored 16 points. I think it was in the first quarter. They only scored 3 from then on, but I think the offense is just finally looking better. And I think the Chiefs pull out this victory. And on Monday Night Football, we have the Patriots and the Bills. I'm going with the Patriots because the Patriots are back to being the great team that everybody hates. While everybody hates them, I'm one of those people that actually don't hate them, and for some reason I'm thoroughly enjoying watching Bill Belichick just absolutely dominate the league. Just as long as it doesn't hurt the Chiefs, I'm all for it. The Patriots absolutely dominated the Titans. Mac Jones has been playing great all year. I don't know what else to say. Obviously the best rookie quarterback. We said that 1,000 times, and he's been playing great this year. Defense is a turnover machine. J.C. Jackson is a freaking beast. He's amazing. Matthew Judon, obviously. They might be the scariest team to want to play in the AFC. The Bills look great against the Saints on Thanksgiving. The problem is I think they caught the Patriots at the worst time, where they've won 6 in a row. Everything seems to be clicking. Everything seems to be going right for the Patriots. So I think the Patriots, upset or not, are going to beat the Bills on Monday Night Football. So those are my predictions for NFL Week 13. Sorry this video was late, but give me your predictions down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.